Time now for CURES. So could the secret of staying young be in your DNA?
We have a biotechnologist, pharmacist, Greg MacPherson. He's with us now on the show. Research on keeping our cells young.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So, we have all conversations about what's the new 40, what's the new 50. When you say the secret's in our cells, can we really turn back the time by sort of reprogramming ourselves?
Yeah, it's what we're learning now is that we can literally reprogram ourselves. And we have two ages. We have a chronological age, which is what we know as our birthday. But we also have a biological age, which is the age of our cells, and we can reprogram them and bring them younger. Absolutely.
I'd like to know a couple of secrets on how to turn back the clock on that if we have a little bit of control, because I think most of us think there's only a few things you can control, smoking, sun exposure, exercise, things like that. Are those the basics?
Yeah, they are the basics, Joe, but now we're learning too. Things like just mindfulness can actually turn back the clock, but there are also supplements that you can take, which have been proven now to actually take these cells from, maybe if you're 50, you can actually take them back to 40 or even 30, which is pretty exciting because when you take your cells back that young, it just means that you're going to age really well and healthy for a long time.
Well, and you've written a book about this. You're a scientist, so you get a little granular, but tell us a little bit about, in our brief time that we have here, we're going to have an expanded conversation on the app later, but what can we do? What are some things that we can do right now to turn back that clock?
Absolutely. So there's a little molecule called hobamine, which comes from a plant called Himalayan tartary buckwheat. That's shown to just protect our cells and to take them back. There's another molecule called NAD. Again, it's all pretty sciencey, but these are molecules that decline as we age, and when we bring them back, we literally reprogram our cells and make them younger again. And
where do you get that one? I've heard strawberries. Something about your book said strawberries help, right? If strawberries could be good?
Strawberries are fantastic. Yeah, they have a little molecule in them which helps clear out these, they're called zombie cells or senescent cells. These are cells that build up as we age, and they're really inflammatory and they don't do us much good. And strawberries help remove those and start to actually break them down.
This DNA thing I find very interesting because I've always believed, your heritage has a lot to do with it, where you're born, where your family's from, your skin, all of those things, those things you can't control. So some people are starting off with a better, ceiling than other people are just because of their skin type, where they're born and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Some people get quite lucky with, their DNA and what they get, but it's only 20% of the story. So 80% is actually how we do and look after our DNA. And I think that's really the big news is that we can actually modify and change how fast we age simply by doing the things we were talking about, the exercise, the mindfulness, the eating well, and some of these supplements that we're discovering now.
Right, and we kind of all know this, right? We say de-stress, all this, but what you're saying is our cells get damaged all the time. And so just doing simple things like talk to us about maybe if you decide to start a meditation or mindfulness practice, and you say each decade of your life you can roll back the clock. What are you doing actually? How is that actually turning back the clock? That might motivate people.
Yes, totally. So you have a little clock on your DNA, essentially. It's almost like if you imagine a CD, how it's nice and fresh when you're young, but as you get older, it gets a few scratches on it, and the information and the music is not so great. So your DNA kind of gets a wee bit scratched as you get older, and the things you do, like what we talked about just now, actually polish it up and make it look shiny and new, and that cell then operates better and healthier.
Something I thought I heard once, and you probably would know exactly, but that your cells, every 7 years, the organ, every cell in each organ replenishes itself. So every 7 years, whatever the number is, you're making a copy of the original, then 7 years later, it's another copy, and then another copy, and it's like a mimeograph, if people remember mimeographs. The further out the copies go, the less better the product is.
Is that true?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but it's a wee bit different because that's the average, right? So for your skin cells, for example, they're actually replicating every 6 weeks or so. But your brain cells, they actually, what you've got is pretty much there for life, and they don't turn over that much. So yes, you are almost like a copy of yourself, with I guess the main thing being those brain cells, which hang in there, which is just as well, because we need that memory, right?
So let's talk about something simple like exercise. I know a lot of people, it's hard to get in the habit, but you have a graph that I saw where just, the less you exercise, the faster you age. I mean, it's a complete inverse. Yeah. So do we have to do it a lot, or what level? Can we just go walking? What are you finding?
Yeah, so the main thing is just being consistent with what you do, because if you go out and smash a massive 5-mile run right now, puts the body under huge stress, and that can be quite damaging. So if you do it all the time, though, then the body adapts to it. It's just like perhaps you might get some calluses when you're working outside. Your body can actually adjust. And so whatever you do, get a program, do it consistently. If it's a 5-minute walk every day, because that's all you can do, that's absolutely great. But try and push it out to 30 minutes. Be mindful, and help manage that stress. I mean, we all have stress. It's just how you react to it and how you deal with it is actually the main thing. But ultimately, in your 30s, if you can just look after your DNA with a good diet and good exercise and mindfulness and a few supplements. In your 40s, you've got these things called mitochondria in your cells. These are tiny energy generation centers that you can actually, with supplements these days, recharge them and make them better. And then in your 50s and beyond, it's about clearing out those zombie cells that we talked about. And you can do that through strawberries and an ingredient called fisetin.
Where do you get that?
Yeah, totally. It's all sciencey. I've got a website called srw.co, and that gives you a whole breakdown on what to take and when, and that just takes the challenge out of it all.
Okay. Well, and we'll be talking a little bit more. You can find this conversation, and we'll get more in depth on what you do each decade on the Channel 3 streaming app a little bit later. Thank you for being with us, Greg.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Great having you here.